Hello there and welcome to this video where I want to start to step you through this concept of appointing a virtual assistant. It's something that first struck me about 3 or 4 years ago now when I had a couple of my colleagues who were in the position where they'd appointed a virtual assistant. Conceptually to me it was something totally way out of my reach, but the guys that I was talking to at the time doing similar work to me introduced me to the fact that they had been working very successfully with some people from the Philippines who were undertaking a lot of their support duties or support tasks and effectively allowing them and freeing them up to be so much more effective in the workplace. My name is Greg Gunther and I've been working with a virtual assistant now for, as I said, over 3 years, and I can honestly say that having since done and made the appointment, to me it's just something that I now could not live without, and as I move forward I see myself in fact looking to appoint one or even more virtual assistants as we undertake some of the new business opportunities that we're currently pursuing. So it's something that I can commend, and a lot of people would say, well, how does that actually work? What are the sort of how practical is that working with somebody so remotely? But that is some of the things that I want to step you through in this video and help you understand. If you are interested in appointing somebody like a virtual assistant, walk you through some of the steps and how you might actually physically go about doing that. And these are the sort of steps that I would encourage you to adopt if it's something that you're looking to do. So I suppose for a lot of us, the tendency, particularly if you're working on your own or in small business, is that we typically are guilty of starting to take a lot of these things on for ourselves, and we don't value our own time enough, I believe. We just tend to dig in and do it, and that's the culture. Something needs to be done, we just step in and do it and get the job done. And unfortunately, if we do start to look at ourselves critically and objectively, you can very quickly see that a lot of the time, if you were to log this, the amount of time that we spend on tasks that frankly don't generate value are quite large and somewhat embarrassing when you sit down and actually look at it. So I think when I observe and see people in business, now that I have the good fortune to be working with a number of good people in business, some of the observations that I see when I look at them dealing with things that frankly are not of value to themselves becomes a huge opportunity cost to the business, and this is where something like virtual assistants can become a very considered opportunity for you to look at. So why outsource, I suppose, is the question, because why wouldn't we just go and appoint somebody ourselves internally? I think the big fun is in terms of freeing up some of our time. One of the biggest things I get when I talk to people is, well, I just don't have time for that. I'm too busy. I'll get to it when I get a chance. And invariably what I find is that if people are that dedicated, what they end up doing is doing a lot of these types of things of a night time or of a weekend, and of course what that does is start to eat into their personal time, whether it's with family or I'm a big believer in having me time. Me time is where we get to actually spend some productive time for ourselves, whether that's with exercise, meditation, or educating ourselves, reading. I enjoy reading. Me time is the first things that we sort of give up. Family time is another big one that I find people are too willing to give up in order to prioritise doing some of these sorts of tasks. And of course we all know if you do that enough, the sort of tensions that creates in a number of different ways. So freeing up time is a big one. Another one is about productivity. It's really about just trying to enable ourselves to be more effective at what we do. So since I've been working with my virtual assistant Lisa, I've just found just that I can be so much more productive and effective because I can concentrate on the things that I do well. This is really a simple case of me doing what I do well and just allowing other people who are frankly a lot better at it than me to do what they do well. And over the last 3 years, Lisa and I have developed a really, really close bond. where, to a large extent, I just really enjoy the level of productivity that she frees me up to do. And of course, as a consequence of that, it's sort of more of an outcome. I become less stressed because I just know that I've got the support sitting there that can actually do a lot of these things for me when I need them to get done. So stress and productivity. The other big one, and this was a one for me, and I must admit it was a bit of a hurdle for me when I really had to confront this. I'm a strong, very loyal person to my country, and I'm always of the belief that where possible, I want to buy locally and support local. And this was quite challenging for me, and certainly even when I was talking through this issue of appointing, I remember the conversation with my wife at the time. She was of the same belief. She said, "Well, why employ somebody offshore when you can potentially get it here?" So in the first instance, I actually did. I couldn't justify anybody full time, but in the first instance, what I did was I actually employed a virtual assistant from actually it was in Melbourne, Australia, is where I engaged my first virtual assistant, and she was charging me $50 an hour, as I recall. So what it ended up being was a relationship where it was more around projects, because it was $50 an hour. What I was typically doing was only passing the things across to her that I absolutely could not do myself, and because of that, and even then, when you mount up the hours, it ended up being, some of the projects that I was giving to her were actually quite expensive, and consequently that relationship dwindled very, very quickly, and in essence my behaviours were that I just didn't use her or end up utilising her much at all. So it did get down to a question of cost. And from that point of view, it's not the sort of thing that I could just even today, with now that I'm more mature as a business and doing a lot more things, it will be still a difficult justification for me to employ somebody to get the sort of task done that Lisa, my virtual assistant, helps me with. So affordability is another question that we need to confront. So I just want to run you through a few steps in terms of how to appoint a VA. I get asked a lot. People who have learned that I'm working with a virtual assistant have commonly asked me, how is it that you go about this? And I think it is important because to understand these steps, because what we've been able to create here, I think, is a relatively robust system of going through and appointing and getting some reliable resource when you go through this particular process. I've seen some disasters, and when I've dug deeper with it to try and understand why it hasn't worked, it effectively comes down to shortcutting the process. And so I can't stress enough the importance of going through. If you're looking to recruit or appoint a virtual assistant, try and adopt these steps that I'm about to walk you through. It's quite an important thing. The first step is you need to evaluate the need and identify the tasks that you need to outsource. So, and you might actually document that in a job description style of thing. But for me, it was a question of, I had a lot of support admin type tasks that I needed to get done. Lisa does a lot of my presentation work, so I needed presentations to be prepared. I need to do a lot of proposals from time to time. I need to support a lot of my clients that I work with. So, we assist with report writing and the like. So there's a lot of those sort of fairly heavy lifting admin type tasks that I was really looking to support. So the first thing I did was identify those tasks and then develop them into a job description. The next thing is to post a job ad, and I'll talk through that a little bit in a moment. Once we've got a job ad, we want to review, shortlist and test. So the thing that will typically happen quite quickly is when we go and appoint this way online, we do get quite a number of applications in a fairly short space of time. So it's important to go through those. I tended not to put our job ads up for very long because I felt that it's better to probably just put it up for a shorter period of time, like 24, 48 hours, review those applicants, and if there's nothing sort of substantially worthwhile pursuing from that, give it a few days or even a week, and relist the job, repost the job. The fourth step is conducting the actual interview, and the fifth is select, hire, and finalise the appointment process. So these are the 5 steps, and I'll step you through these now to give you a little bit fuller understanding of exactly what it is that I'm talking about with each of these steps. The first one is to evaluate the need and identify the tasks to be outsourced. So effectively, we want to identify some of the sample sort of tasks. So this is just a very quick sort of snapshot of some of the things that I identified that I was needing some help with, but it could be things like blogging, it could be graphic design, it could be some research, could be data entry, could be website development. There's any number of different things, and you can identify for yourself what some of those things are. All of these sort of things can be outsourced and done very, very diligently and very well, professionally done. So identify what those sort of things are. And when we go to post the job, there's actually quite a number of different sites that we can list the jobs on. I've used Odesk. Online Jobs is another one. I actually found Lisa through Online Jobs. There's Freelancer, which we can use for various projects, people per hour. Fiverr is another one that I've used. Fiverr is a website that we typically, where we have something that we wanted done, you can post it, and for $5 ostensibly you can get the actual job done. So the onlinejobs.ph, the online jobs one there is a great source of Filipino virtual assistants, and basically that's where I sourced Lisa when I actually was looking for some assistance for myself. Odesk it's a well-known freelance marketplace. It's got a big pool of virtual assistants. We used Odesk for our website redesign, and the experience actually was a very pleasant one. We put the job up, we posted it, and we got a number of responses back to that, and we basically were able to appoint somebody to run that project for us through that process, and it was only a matter of weeks, and we actually had our website back up and running. It was very good. Freelancer is a very common one, freelancer.com. That's it's one of the biggest outsourcing sites after it's acquired 2 other freelancing marketplaces, which were vWorker and Scriptlance, for those of you that are interested. You can actually register an account for free on freelancer.com, but you're going to be charged a fixed price project fee of 3% of your actual job posting. That's how they make their money. And there's a number of other membership plans depending on the sort of hiring need that you've got for your job that you want. So there's quite a number of different options that you've got that you can look at to actually post the job itself. Once we've posted the job and we've got some responses back from that, the next job is really to review, shortlist, and test those. So the way we went about that was to, you might get 80 to 100 applications. It can be quite a daunting exercise. So it's important that you shortlist that. And there's often, I found with these that some of them, it's very easy to shortlist them out because a lot of people have their autoresponders on, and so a lot of the quick ones that you get back are actually people who got their autoresponders on, and they may not actually fit the criteria. So you can pretty quickly take those jobs out, or take those applications out of the equation. Once we got it down to a relatively short list of people, we basically send out a job questionnaire. Now, what we actually were looking at there, we just used SurveyMonkey for this, was just a number of questions, may or may not have been addressed in their resume, but it was getting more specifically around their own circumstances. So the sort of things that we were looking to understand from this particular questionnaire was what's the sort of computer hardware that they're operating from, what software is it that they're using, and what are they competent in, how do they rate their competency, do they have preferred hours that they want to work, is another question that we asked, because some people might have other obligations, be it family, I know Lisa, in my own case, Lisa, she's available to me at any point in time, but I do know from working with her for a little while that she likes to work of a night time when her children are in bed. So that's just something that she personally chooses to do. So having an understanding of that is important, because it needs to fit within the sort of thing that you're actually looking to achieve. The third step in this process that we did was we sent out some sample test activities. Now, I think this is important to actually identify some typical tasks, not major, not big ones, because obviously these people are still applying for a job at this point. However, what it will give you is, and I think from memory we sent out three separate types of tasks. I think from memory one was a research project, one was a presentation, and the third one from my recollection was actually to prepare a blog. So, and that blog actually was on the back of the research that we asked them to do. Now, that's important because it gives you a sense of the quality of the work. It'll give you a level of competency as to where their skills really are. So I found that exercise was a way to quickly shortlist people down. In fact, we were able to shortlist down to about 3, I think, once we got to that stage. So in essence, I think from memory we ended up with about 60 odd applications off the back of the job ad. From the job questionnaire, that very quickly, I think we were able to shortlist those applications down to about 20 odd, based on the actual CVs and applications that were sent to us. Once we sent out the job questionnaire, that very quickly narrowed down to 12 from memory. And from that 12 that we sent the tasks out to, we were able to very quickly narrow that down to 3 people that ultimately started to fit the criteria. And the good news is that out of that, Lisa was the one that actually stood out with that. So there again, these are the sort of sample activities that you can send out to people. It's blogs, spreadsheets, transcribing, sales presentation, and the like. So the next thing is to go through a interview, and there's a lot of different ways. Skype is probably one of the typical ones. That's what we did. So once we're down to about 3 or 4 actual people on our short list, the next stage for us was to just schedule some Skype interviews with them. And this is important too, because you're likely going to be working with somebody in a different country. In my case, the Philippines, and it was important for me to get a feel and a sense for the competency with the English language, and how well I was able to communicate with them. So the thing I can say about the Philippines is that English is actually their second language. They learn English at a very young age and at school, and most Filipinos actually do have a pretty good grasp of the English language. So from my perspective, when I got Lisa on Skype, she was very, very easy to understand, and conducted herself very well in the actual interview process itself. So conducting the interview, and out of the interview was when we were able to basically make the actual appointment in Lisa's case. So once we've actually appointed a VA, I think it's important that you actually make it very clear about what the engagement terms and payment conditions and everything are. One of the things that obviously from their perspective, they're actually dealing with somebody remotely as well. So I think communication around these things is quite important. So again, in Lisa's case, my own virtual assistant, we started out in a part-time situation. I think we were both largely, from my perspective, I was a bit interested to learn how to work with somebody remotely like that. And if I was really, really truthful, I'd have to say that I wasn't really sure if I had enough work to keep somebody gainfully employed. So for me, it was a fairly steep learning curve to work out whether or not this was going to work for me. In Lisa's case, she had actually done virtual work before, so it probably wasn't such a daunting exercise from her perspective. She sort of understood where she could bring value. But from her perspective, she was working in a full-time job and obviously didn't want to put herself into a position of risk of leaving that work if it wasn't going to work out. So part-time initially worked well for her to work out how well we could work together and whether or not we both felt that it was going to go further. And the good news is that it was only after a period of some short months that Lisa was able to come on full-time with me, and as I said, we've been together now for over 3 years, and we just continue to grow, and a lot more new opportunities coming along, and Lisa is very integral to that. She's just part of my team, and we regard her as such. So with Lisa, she has a job description, and that's written, and we've actually got her acknowledgement on the bottom of that job description as her acceptance of that agreement. So it's quite simple. However, it just sort of keeps it very clear, and everybody's on the same page as to how and when we operate with one another together. So essentially, the 5 steps that we go through are, first of all, evaluate the need and identify the tasks to be outsourced. So sit down, brainstorm that, probably with yourself if you work on your own, but with other parties if you've got them. What are the sort of tasks it is that we could be outsourcing? Then need to post your job ad up on one of those online sites. If it's a project, probably go to Freelancer or even Odesk. If you're looking for some more part-time or full-time assistance support, things like onlinejobs.ph is quite a good area, a good site to go to. The third step is to review, shortlist and test. So go through all of the applications, bring those back down to a manageable number, and from that go through the process that I described of sending out initially a survey monkey, just asking a few sort of personal questions about where they live, the type of hours they want to work, what their pay expectation is, what sort of computer software, hardware do they operate from, and then shortlist from that again down to testing with some typical tasks, and ask them to respond to you with responses to those tasks. Conduct your interviews via Skype. Again, probably only need to do 2 or 3. By this stage, you're probably starting to funnel it down into a reasonably qualified set of people. Go through that interview process, and then go through your actual hiring and finalising the appointment process with documenting all of that and agreeing on the pay rate and so forth. If you have a look in the Podiatry Hive document library, you will find that there are templates for things like the position description, job ads and job questionnaires. So you don't have to go and recreate that for yourselves, it's already there. So just jump on to the podiatryhive.com. On the member site, go into the document library, and you'll find those things there just to help fast track this process for you. So hopefully that's helped you. Importantly though, what I would say is go through the process, hire slow. This is just like any other appointment that you're going to make. It's an important appointment, and you don't want to have a failure. Because it just means that you've got to start over again. So put the time into stepping through those steps that I've described for you, and you're going to be putting yourself in the best position possible in order to get the outcome you want. If it's not working out, and none of us really want to go through this, but if it's not working out, you need to let them go and unfortunately go through the process yet again. The good news is that I've been doing this for a little while now, and I've actually helped a number of clients step through the process, and I'd say probably 80% of the cases that we've been going through now have been successful. So, and where we've been unsuccessful, I'd have to say that the process itself hasn't been followed properly, or we've tended to shortcut the circuit, the actual process itself. So importantly, need to go through the process, step through it. Can't really stress that strongly enough. So thank you for watching. Hopefully this has been helpful for you. Again, hop back onto the podiatryhive.com and you'll find those templates there for you, and wish you the best of luck with your appointments with your virtual assistants. You won't regret it. Thank you for watching.